everyone, and welcome back to the Startup Founders Club. Today, I have Matt Hayter joining me. Matt is the founder, president, and chief product officer of Projectworks, a Wellington-based SaaS company that specializes in professional services automation. Matt, thank you for joining me.
Great to be here, Tony. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, likewise, mate. Now, for context, Matt and I are friendly competitors. My Work Guru product is a somewhat direct competitor to his product, although we work in different market segments. So we have run across each other a bunch of times in a friendly way. So we do know each other relatively well. But for the people watching at home, mate, tell us a little bit about Projectworks and how you got started.
Yeah, I guess we're kind of frenemies in that sense, but I see business as kind of like sport, right? We'll compete hard on the field and we'll have a beer at the end of the day, and
100%.
that'll be all good. No, but thanks for having me here, mate. For us getting started, we, similar to I guess a lot of startups, we spun out of another company solving a problem that they had internally. So myself and my two co-founders, Doug and Jules, were at a professional services consulting firm, about 150 people. We'd built up a product internally to kind of run that org. Doug was one of the co-founders there, and Jules and I were a little bit younger and felt like we'd kind of got our apprenticeship and we were ready to go and, take on the world and build our own company. Long story short, we got started talking to Doug and the other founders there and thought, hey, there's some pretty cool IP here. Maybe we should spin out a company and, we've got something to start with. And, it's proven itself already to some degree. The best products are the ones that sort of scratch your own itch. So that was 2016. We spun out. We spent a few years just sort of nights and weekends and really just sort of a bit of a hobby, sort of playing companies until 2019, where we took on our first funding, and that's where we properly kind of launched and became a business.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. So solving a problem for yourself, launched and really took funding 2019. And we'll talk a bit about VC route versus bootstrap route. So roughly now, so you took your first funding in 2019. What's the team size and what stage are you at the moment?
So we are about 55 staff globally now, and we're doing around sort of 10 million revenue. And we've just last year done our Series A, so kind of roughly where we're at. Yep.
Yeah, nice. And so why VC? Why did you go the VC route?
Yeah, well, we actually we had I guess a lot of startups. All startups even have a kind of an unorthodox kind of beginning. But as we spun out of another firm, the way the capital structure of that worked when we started was that firm owned kind of half of our company, and then that firm sold outright to private equity. So when we were still very early, we ended up being kind of half owned by a PE firm. So
wow,
it was a little back the front, having kind of been backed by a private equity company when you're doing kind of $50,000 in revenue. So our path, I'd like to say, we sat down and strategized and dreamed, but our path was pretty much kind of laid out for us at that point. So
that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so this company, Bridgewest, who is still a major investor today, came in and basically had to decide what to do with us. So Doug and I kind of sat down with them and we were like, well, this is kind of what we've got. We think it's got some legs. And they were like, okay. And then we just did kind of an equity round on the spot to give us runway for the first year. So it was like, it's quite a bizarre start, really. And that was really laid out for us.
You got partially acquired and raised almost accidentally on day one. That's awesome. I reckon it's probably one of the best investments they've ever made anyway as well. I reckon you're probably outperforming the company that they bought you as part of, right?
We are actually, yes. So they are, they're pretty happy, I think, with that. So it's been good for them, good for us. But a pretty random start. I'd love to say, I'm a master strategist, and we thought, should we bootstrap or VC? It's like, I guess we're on this right.
That's great. That's the best story I've heard around raising thus far. That's awesome, mate. So, how's your experience been with your equity backers?
Yeah, it's been good, right? It's one of the things that there's been pros and cons. Let me reframe that. There have been pros and cons. But one of the pros and cons is that it forced us very early to be very grown up as from a financials perspective, from a budget perspective, reporting to kind of investment committees very early. So we kind of, we started not really knowing anything else. But what it did mean is when we eventually went out and did our like a proper seed round in 2022, we really kind of had our shit together. And so that helped us when we actually, in 2022, we did a round and an actual VC, Punakaiki Fund, came and led that round and joined us. But they kind of said, your budget and your books are kind of where we expect a company kind of, 5 times your size to be. So it really helped with that. But on the journey up to that, there was a lot of overhead time, I guess, spent having to, do these monthly investment calls, having to kind of, act at a level, the same level of companies who had a team of people to be doing these reports and, all of this kind of stuff. But for us, we didn't have people to do that. So
we just kind of, right?
We were the people. So that was, I think that was our experience. Like short term, it was hard, but longer term, it really built some rigor in early, which I think has helped. So
cool. As a general rule, do you think it makes it easier or harder when you raise money?
Look, I mean, it's the only way I've done it, so I can't comment too hard on that. But I would say though is there are multiple ways to skin a cat, right? And I think the most important thing is kind of being deliberate and knowing what game you're playing. Like if you're VC backed, there's a playbook for that. Go and do VC backed things. If you're bootstrapped, go and do that. Don't decide we're going to bootstrap and then go and look at like how to run a go-to-market when you've got a bucket full of VC cash to go and spend on a bunch of experiments, right? I think that's where people get into trouble. You're debating like things. So there's no right or wrong way, but pick a path and do it that way properly. Don't try and take advice from VC-backed companies when you're bootstrapped.
I read Blitzscaling, and as a bootstrapped company, I died laughing. I was just like, hilarious. Good, nice guys, well done. But I couldn't agree more. As a general rule, would you recommend raising to other founders, or not sure? Or it depends.
I would. I think it's like raising is sales, and I think getting yourself out there and talking to anybody is good for you as a company, and it enables you to get a perspective that you might not get otherwise. So even if you don't, you're not obliged to take any money at the end of the day. And if you're a successful bootstrap company like you guys, might not need it. But I think getting out there and seeing what your options are and having options is good, because you might be bootstrapped and then one day decide well, we've actually found this formula. We've created the money making machine where we put $1 on the top and $2 come out the bottom. It might make sense at that time to go and raise some money. So going and talking to investors I would recommend it. But the best thing as a founder is having optionality. That's the best leverage. So the more optionality you can have, the more shots that you can make and not be forced to have to do things for your company that you might not want to do otherwise. So that would be my thoughts.
Very, very true. So the main thing we have talked today about is what does it take to not just found, but build a SaaS company? And it's an interesting premise because they're different things, aren't they?
Yeah, well, founding a company is pretty easy. You just go and fill out a form and pay $100 or whatever.
Geez, it's cheap where you're from, mate. It's about 500 and something over here.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, but I think it's $100 or something here. But anyway, no, you're right. Founding and building a company, anyone can found a company. Building a company, kind of a different kettle of fish.
Taking the facetiousness out of it, and other than just like registering it, like there's really obvious, and people talk about it a fair bit, but there's really that startup scale up and hyperscale phase or maturity phase. And I really think that even in that startup phase, there's probably multiple different phases of it, from what is the product, building product, managing product, developing, talking to customers, first customer go to market, and then that changes to a point. And you said that you're doing about 10 million revenue now. Where was the point for you where that changed really from being, and you're weird because you got like properly professional from day one, which is super weird. Did you find that there was a point of change where you had to change the way that you ran the company as a general rule, or has it just been the same the whole way through?
Yeah, I think there are definitely step change points, like when you go from that core founding group to making your first hire, like that's a big step change. And then once you get to sort of that 10 to 15 mark, I think there is a bit of a sort of step change. That's where you're starting to you're not just a group of people in a room or on Slack, kind of just everybody's like busy and doing stuff. It's more okay, we actually need some systems and some rigor, and like there could be two people doing the same thing, and people have to start communicating a lot more. I think those earlier ones are where the biggest kind of changes come in. Those it's maybe like kind of a Fibonacci sequence of step change or something like that. But yeah, the whole time though, like I think one of the things you think as a founder is like, I'll just get through this next thing and then this is going to be easier, right?
It's never easier.
It's never easier. You just got a new set of problems now to deal with. So, and you've got to be able to, hold a lot of things in your head and do a lot of things at the same time, right?
You do.
Yeah.
It's that weightlifting analogy, right? It never gets easier. The weights just get heavier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I find one of my, I've got a commerce degree, talk to, obviously know a lot of people in the industry and stuff, but I think one of the best kind of things that's taught me how to do this role is playing turn-based strategy games. So I play like Civilization quite heavily on play that. I don't know if you play games at all, Tony, but like on daily, and like that is
bootstrapped, mate. No time.
No time for that. Yeah, you're not just laying on a beach like us funded companies are. But that teaches you like nothing is ever going to be perfect, and you're always like you've got resources in different areas, and it's kind of resource management and figuring out who you're going to disappoint the least on any given day, because no one's ever going to be happy. So who's going to be the least disappointed? So that's the game, I think, there.
I think you're right. Did you have any preconceived notions about what the journey would look like when you started Projectworks?
Yeah, I think, I thought I would spend a lot more time in like building product. And I think you spend quite a lot of time actually still in building product, at least I see, following your socials.
More than I should.
More than you should, yeah.
That's my founder weakness.
I'm the opposite. I'm kind of less than I should. So I'm a developer by trade. I'm a product guy, obviously in the CPO role now. I think I thought though I would spend a lot more time, building products, when really you're doing a lot of admin. You're building teams. You're doing a lot of people management and kind of dealing with all design and those kind of things. So I think I kind of thought I was going to be doing a lot more fun stuff than actually what a lot of the days look like, to be completely honest about it.
Yep. The compliance, the admin, the hiring, the paying the rent, the making sure that the staff have food and supplies, like stupid stuff, right?
Totally right. And it's funny because sometimes we interview people, for I'd still consider us a startup, bordering scale up. And interview some people who are at a big company, and they're like, "Oh, but my team, we function like a startup within the big company." It's like, "Oh, did you go and order the toilet paper, and did you empty the dishwasher, and did you like all of these?"
I hate that. I was like, "No, you did not. No, you didn't. No, you." Yes, it's funny. I'll be honest. I don't really read resumes from government or big corporate people. I'm just like, I don't have time to explain to you what a startup actually is.
Yeah, it's exactly, mate.
Yeah. So would you say that the lack of time that you're spending on product was the biggest surprise to you about the founding journey?
Yeah, I think the just the sheer breadth of things that need to be done more, I would say, is the biggest kind of surprise. Just like, as the founder, a co-founder, like everything comes to you, like from the most trivial to the deeply important, complex things, right? So and it's really hard to be trying to do like deep work building products as well as dealing with 10,000 administrative things a day. So that was a big part of the surprise, I guess. There, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that breadth thing is a thing that a lot of founders miss before they've done this before, and particularly it's really great that you put it as product and then the other stuff, because the product isn't the company. Like the product is incredibly important, but it's actually not the company. And you can look at it, and there's the old saying that says, first time founders think product, and second time founders think distribution. But the company is the thing that has to succeed, not just the product. And we all know of companies that have rubbish product but are somehow incredibly financially successful, and it just kind of disproves that.
I think, just on that note too, I think as part of the sort of this, just pulling on that thread a little bit around the biggest surprise is, you kind of think like, oh, well, we'll get the lawyer will deal with that, or these experts in their field will be the experts, and you kind of just cleanly delegate all these like complex things. But the reality is, like, the experts still need you to be the expert in the field as well, to be able to apply their domain knowledge. So like there's no concept of just kind of like really delegating like most of the complex stuff. You have to carry a lot of breadth fast.
Yeah, you really do. I like that. Like, just write me a terms and conditions, thanks, mate, an end user license agreement. Okay, what are the conditions? You're like,
yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Like, how does that conversation go? Yeah, it's really hard to offload that stuff, particularly early on.
Yeah.
If you had to describe what the journey really is like and feels like to an aspiring or a brand new founder, how would you describe it?
Yeah, the way that I sometimes sort of think about it in my kind of romanticized way is, it's like I'm a pirate and I've bought a pirate ship, and now I'm just going around kind of collecting, hopefully getting people who are crazy enough or stupid enough to sort of join us, and like on this random voyage where we kind of know what we're doing, but there's going to be a lot of kind of randomness along the way. It's all encompassing, right? Like, it's not a job in the traditional sense. It becomes your, you can't put it down at the end of the day. People talk about work-life balance and things like that. It's just not a concept I don't think you can have as a founder. You need to be, okay with being like all in and not really ever having a holiday for since 2016. Like, I don't actually feel like I've turned off since then, and that's probably pretty unhealthy and like probably not that acceptable for a lot of people. So
yeah, but it's true though. It's like when you're awake, you're a founder. Until the day that you're not, or the company's not any yours, when you're awake, you're a founder, and it's not hustle bro culture. It's not like, I have no interest in glorifying 24-hour days at the desk, but it's the reality. If you want to succeed, like, no VC is going to back somebody who turns their laptop off at 4:30 in the afternoon to go have some work-life balance because they need to see a return on their investment. If your team sees you doing that, they're not going to put in. And particularly in startups, people who move the fastest and respond the fastest, they're the ones that win. And there's a combination of it needing to be the win, but it's also the personality type of so many founders. We just can't let go of, I don't know if you're the same, but I will literally lie in bed at 2:00 in the morning and I have either a coding problem or some other problem ticking around in my head, and I cannot sleep until it's solved. And when it's solved, I might be able to sleep. But it's just, it's a brain worm.
Totally agree. I agree. It's, people may conflate those things like hustle culture with this, but it's really not that. It's, you're in 24/7 just thinking about it. Like you say, if you're awake, you're a founder. I think that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah, it's the way I've felt since the day that I crazily decided to start building our product, is that I've been a founder every minute of every day since then. And there are days where you don't think about it as much, but I can guarantee there's not a single day that I haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
So, once you've got a product and you've got your first customers, things like that, what do you think is the biggest skill requirement as a founder to grow the company?
I think being able to delegate in the right way and at the right level, and being able to know what you should delegate and to what level and how much, when you need to take a step back and let people make their own mistakes, and when you need to be in there and being like, actually, I need to own this. So figuring out the different types of delegation and getting the knack for when and how you should be delegating things is probably it, right? Like, you need to make sure you're not a bottleneck, which happens with a lot of founders. They become a bottleneck. But you need to make sure that people are doing the right stuff too. So it's kind of a bit of a wishy-washy answer, but I truly think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, it's figuring out how to make yourself not involved in every role. But I mean, even earlier you said it's not as easy to delegate to the experts and everything as well. But so yeah, it's that wonderful. How do we do it, and how do you build the company to let you delegate those kind of things?
Yeah, I think so.
Was that the hardest part for you?
I think the hardest part for me is actually flipping between administrative and deep work, and then also compartmentalizing, right? Like, you could have a morning where, you've got a meeting around a super detailed product feature, super, right in the weeds, business rules on something, then into a meeting determining, future funding that might determine if you can make payroll next month. And then you're out of that into like having to have a serious meeting about needing to let someone go and performance management. And, that could be a morning, and changing gears between all, three very different but very important, things. In all cases, most cases in those examples, you're dealing with people's livelihoods. They're not things that you can just go in and kind of have conversations or make decisions on kind of lightly. I think that's the hardest part for me. And then, being able to do all those justice and being able to just be like, okay, I've come out of a meeting where I've got my mind's going a million miles an hour about that, but now I've got to stop and I've got to be present about this particular topic.
Yeah, that is tricky, and that happens 4.5, 5 days a week during office hours.
Yeah.
Was there a time, or is there still a time, where you didn't think you were going to succeed?
Today, or just yeah. Oh, look, I think one of the, depending how much of a sadist you are, one of the kind of parts of being a founder is it's usually extreme highs or extreme lows. A lot of the time, it's either like, we're geniuses and we're about to conquer the world, or like, we're a bunch of idiots. What are we doing here? And so, yeah. Absolutely, there are those times where you have those doubts, right? They creep in. I think they do. I think anybody who said that they didn't ever have those periods of doubt would probably be lying.
Or psychopathic.
Yeah, it's literally,
Yeah, it's a little bit bipolar. I think I was talking about it before. It's like on the same day, you can have one client churn because they hate you, 3 new clients sign up because they love you, somebody give you an amazing review, somebody tell you your platform's terrible, and then have a key staff member walk in the door and say, hey man, I'm on a backpacking visa and I've decided I'm going to go work the ski lift for 6 months, which will happen to us in the last couple of weeks. And you're like, it's a day, it's a good day, it's a bad day, and you keep going.
Totally right. You've got to be able to pull yourself out of those things where it seems like, because like you guys, we care a lot about our customers, and one bad meeting with a customer can make you kind of start to question everything, and you got to pull yourself up and like all these other people who think differently. So but in the moment, you care passionately, and you get sucked into like, shit, what are we doing the wrong thing here? So
yeah, when you're emotionally invested, and it kind of is your baby, and we've both got kids, and it's definitely not your baby, but it is your baby. And if somebody tells you your baby sucks, you're like, wow, hey.
Yeah, exactly right. I agree. Yeah.
So perseverance, that brings us to that, because everyone's going to go through periods of, this sucks, it's not going to work, we're terrible, we're doing the wrong thing, we're great, it's amazing, everything's going to be easy. What level of perseverance do you think people need to get through it, or how would you approach it?
Yeah, I mean, you need perseverance to the point where you're probably a little delusional or psychopathic, right? I think it was Paul Graham that says like the biggest like indicator of success is you just keep showing up. I think something to I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit, but it's totally true. You need to be able to persevere and build a lot of resilience, and figure out how to not take no for an answer, and when you have no options, find that option. It helps when you've got a bunch of people depending on you for their paycheck, and you've got a lot of friends and family who invested money in you. It's a motivator to figure
it is
it out.
motivating. Yeah. I don't know who said it, but I always love the quote that persistence beats performance. Like you can be amazing, but if you're only amazing 1 day out of 7 or 2 days out of 10 or whatever, you show up every day, that's the way. If you keep showing up, you will eventually get somewhere. So
I like that. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Mate, it's been fantastic having you on. I've got 3 questions that I ask everyone as part of the wrap up.
Okay.
Love your hot takes on these. What is the biggest misconception first-time founders have about starting a SaaS company?
First time. I think it's common for first-time founders to think, okay, I'm going to found a company, I'm going to be the boss, and everybody reports to me. Being the boss means that you report to everybody. You are the escalation points for everybody's problems, and the buck stops with you. You take orders from everybody. There's no further way to escalate, and these can be the most trivial to really important things. So if you've got in your mind, like, I'm going to start a company and then I'll just tell everybody what to do and it'll be hunky-dory, you're probably in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, that would be a very rude shock.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Mate, what's the biggest mistake you've made on your journey?
Ooh. I think probably personally not slowing down to speed up when I need to. So not focusing on kind of health and fitness and kind of life outside of the job. I think you're a better founder and a better employee when you're just a better human. And I've definitely the one who just kind of pushes through and is like, we'll just get through this next bit and then I'll start going to the gym again. And I've done a poor job of that. And I think the company would be, and I would be better if I had have actually, just gone to the gym.
Yep, fair. Yep. Lastly, what is the one piece of advice you feel strongly about enough to give to every founder?
I think, it's kind of counterintuitive because my advice is on taking advice from people. You're going to get a lot of advice from people, who seem really smart and they seem like they know what they're talking about. And a lot of that advice is going to be really terrible. So I would say, don't ever take advice from someone on something unless they've actually done that thing before themselves. Because there are a lot of people in the business who've given advice and sounding like they know what they're doing when they are fucking clueless. So I would say just think, has this person actually done this before? Then listen to them.
Yeah. You just summed up the entire reason for the Startup Founders Club.
Well, there you go.
In that point, that is literally why I think we need to exist. Taking advice from people who've been there, done that, and made the stupid mistakes, and say, please don't do that. It will cost you a fortune. You know how I know? Because I did it, and it cost me a fortune, and totally right. It was painful. So
and thinking about people give you advice and thinking about what their agenda is on that advice too. It's not always because yours or your companies are in their best interest. So, yep.
100%. Well, mate, thank you very much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Awesome. Cheers, Tony. Appreciate the chat, mate.
Thanks, Matt.